The forgotten flame of Britannia. Long ago, when the northern edge of the Roman Empire met the mist-covered hills of Britannia, a quiet fire began to burn. It was not a fire of conquest or rebellion, but a flame of faith, tender, hidden, and indestructible. In a land of pagan rites and imperial commands, two men, Julius and Aaron, stood as pillars of light against the gathering dark. Their names are not carved in golden halls or sung in the chants of every cathedral. No, theirs is a quieter story, often overlooked, yet no less heroic. Julius, a soldier of Rome turned servant of Christ. Aaron, a scholar, perhaps a Levite by heritage, whose words stirred hearts like the rising of a storm. Together, they defied the might of emperors, not with swords, but with unshakable truth and a peace that confounded executioners. Their journey is wrapped in the mists of time, carried through whispers and relics, passed down by the faithful who refuse to forget. Though the stones of their prison have crumbled, and the empire that condemned them has long turned to dust, their courage burns on, like an ember hidden in the ashes waiting to be fanned back to flame. This is their story, a tale of faith and fire, of chains and triumph. From the shores of Isca to the foot of the gallows, we walk the path with them, through silence and storm, into death and beyond. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Light Across the Sea. The year was around 304 AD. The Roman Empire still ruled with an iron grip, but its foundations trembled with unrest. Far from the heart of Rome, in the wild green reaches of Britannia, the garrison stood like lonely outposts on the edge of the world. Winds howled across the hills. Pagan altars smoked in the forests. Yet even here a whisper had come across the sea, a whisper of a man called Christ. In the fortress town of Isca, now known as Caerleon, among the walls and barracks of the Second Augustan Legion, a quiet transformation was taking place. Some soldiers began to question the rites of sacrifice and the commands of emperors. And among them stood Julius. A veteran, hardened by years of duty, Julius had once bowed before the gods of Rome and obeyed without question. But something had changed. Some say it was a scroll smuggled from Gaul. Others speak of a Christian prisoner who sang hymns in the darkness of the cells. However it began, Julius encountered the gospel like a sword that pierced his heart. In the teachings of Christ, he found a new commander, one who demanded not blood, but love, not submission, but truth. Aaron, meanwhile, was no soldier. He was a man of letters, a teacher in a local community near the Severn River. His origins are wrapped in mystery. Some believe he was of Hebrew descent, his name echoing the priesthood of old. What is known is that his words stirred minds and spirits alike. When he heard of Julius' conversion, something in his soul ignited. The two men met beneath the branches of a hidden grove, and what passed between them was not just friendship, but a pact. "We serve the same king," Aaron had said, "and in his name we will not kneel to falsehood." In the months that followed, their work began, not with banners or declarations, but in quiet visits to the sick, prayers whispered behind stone walls, and the secret baptism of hearts ready for the light. They moved like shadows, lighting candles in the dark, careful of spies, yet fearless in purpose. But the darkness noticed. Under the rule of Diocletian, persecutions had spread like wildfire. Decrees had reached even the Isles. Temples were to be honored, sacrifices made, and all who refused would be punished. Britannia, far-flung though it was, would not be spared. A new governor arrived, stern and loyal to Caesar. With him came orders and chains. The rumors spread quickly. Christians were being rounded up. Homes were searched, meetings broken, fires lit at night, not for warmth, but for burning scrolls and sometimes more. Julius and Aaron faced the storm with calm resolve. When asked by frightened followers if they would flee, Julius simply said, "A soldier does not abandon his post. Neither shall I." And Aaron replied, "The truth cannot hide. If it must bleed to shine, so be it." And then, one night, under the watchful moon, they were taken, not with a fight, but with silence. They were found praying, Julius kneeling like a warrior before his king, Aaron standing with his hands raised to the stars. Shackled and dragged through the streets of Isca, they did not weep, nor plead, nor curse. Only a few heard Aaron say, "The light does not die, it passes on." And thus began their final march, not to freedom, but to glory. Chapter 2. The Roman Shadow. The dawn broke cold over Isca, casting long shadows across the cobblestones where Julius and Aaron were held captive. Their names now whispered with both fear and reverence. The governor, a man hardened by years of loyalty to Rome and the gods, viewed them not as men, but as threats, seeds of rebellion in the emperor's peaceful province. Dragged before the tribunal, they stood not as criminals, but as warriors of faith. The hall was vast and echoing, filled with the heavy presence of authority. Soldiers in polished armor watched closely, while scribes recorded every word, every gesture. "Julius," the governor's voice was like thunder, "you were once a soldier of Rome. Why do you now turn your back on the gods who protect the empire?" Julius met his gaze steadily, his voice calm yet firm. "I serve a higher emperor, one whose kingdom is eternal. The gods of Rome will crumble, but his light will never fade." Aaron stepped forward, his eyes blazing with conviction. "The gods of stone and bronze are powerless against the truth of the living God. We do not seek to destroy your empire, but to bring it a message of hope." The governor's fury swelled. "You defy the law and insult the gods of your ancestors. You bring chaos where there should be order." But Julius and Aaron knew that their true battle was not against men, but against a darkness that sought to snuff out the flame of faith. The crowd in the tribunal hall murmured, some in anger, others in secret awe. Despite threats and promises of mercy if they recanted, neither man wavered. Julius' hands remained steady. Aaron's voice did not falter. Their courage was a shield forged in prayer and conviction. Rumors spread beyond the walls that their words stirred something forbidden, a spark of rebellion not against Rome's might, but against fear and ignorance. Among the common folk, tales began to weave themselves, of Julius standing unflinching while chains burned like fire on his skin, and Aaron preaching from a prison cell as if the walls themselves could not hold his spirit. The governor, desperate to maintain control, condemned them to death. Their sentence was swift and merciless, a warning to others who dared to defy the gods and the emperor. Yet in the shadows, the faithful whispered prayers that the flame of Julius and Aaron would not be extinguished, but passed on to kindle new hearts. The Roman shadow loomed heavy, but it could not snuff the light kindled in two brave souls. As they were led away to their execution, Julius turned to Aaron with a fierce, unspoken promise. Their sacrifice would be a beacon for those who dared to believe. Chapter 3. The Trial of Fire. The day of reckoning dawned gray and unforgiving. The air in Isca was thick with tension. The whispers of the crowd mingled with the clanging of armor and the restless steps of soldiers. Julius and Aaron, bound but unbroken, walked the path destined for the gallows. Each step echoed with the weight of destiny, a march not toward death, but toward eternal glory. Before the assembled crowd and the imperial magistrates, the two stood tall, symbols of defiance and unwavering faith. The governor's voice boomed once more, demanding they renounce their faith, abandon their God, and pledge loyalty to the Roman pantheon. Julius looked out over the sea of faces, his voice ringing clear and steady. "I will never deny the one who gave me life and purpose. My soul belongs to him alone." Aaron, his eyes aflame with divine courage, raised his voice to the heavens. "Our chains may bind our bodies, but our spirits soar free. No sword, no flame, no emperor can conquer the truth we carry." The crowd stirred, some in anger, others in silent awe. Soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons, but none dared break the calm radiating from the two men. As the executioner prepared the instruments of death, a strange hush fell over the crowd. The sky, once dull and somber, suddenly blazed with a light unseen, a brilliant radiance that seemed to pour from the very souls of Julius and Aaron. Witnesses would later speak of angels appearing amidst the rising smoke, their wings shimmering with celestial fire, surrounding the martyrs in a divine embrace. The air was charged with an otherworldly energy, a testament to the sacredness of their sacrifice. Even the hardened governor could not suppress a flicker of fear. Yet his resolve to uphold Roman law was unwavering. The sentence would be carried out. With a final prayer whispered on their lips, Julius and Aaron faced the flames, not as victims, but as victors. Their faith was their shield, their love a sword sharper than any blade. As the fire consumed their bodies, a miracle unfolded. The flames danced and twisted, yet left their forms unharmed for a moment longer than nature should allow. It was a sign, a beacon to all who would follow. Their sacrifice was not the end, but the beginning of a legend that would echo through the ages, inspiring those who dared to walk the path of courage, faith, and truth. Chapter 4: The Legacy of the Hills. The fires that claimed Julius and Aaron seemed to mark an end, but in truth, they kindled a beginning. Their names whispered through the valleys and hills of Britannia like a sacred wind, carried by those who had witnessed their courage and those who believed in the truth they upheld. After the martyrdom, strange tales began to spread among the villagers and soldiers alike. It was said that on certain nights, near the site of their sacrifice, a gentle light flickered in the darkness, soft, unwavering, as if the very souls of Julius and Aaron walked still among the living. Some spoke of miraculous healings, the sick touched by a humble relic, the blind regaining sight, the broken finding peace. The church, still young and fragile in these distant lands, found strength in these stories. Pilgrims traveled treacherous roads to visit the sacred place, seeking hope and healing. The legacy of Julius and Aaron grew beyond the limits of history into the realm of legend. Centuries later, their story would inspire kings and common folk alike, reminding all who heard it that faith could shine brighter than the mightiest empire. That even in the darkest times, a single flame could light the way. Their sacrifice became a beacon, not of defeat, but of eternal victory. A testament to the power of belief, the strength of friendship, and the courage to stand unyielding in the face of oppression. And so, beneath the rolling hills and the endless skies of Britannia, the spirit of Julius and Aaron lives on, a flame unextinguished, a story never forgotten. Thank you, dear listener, for joining us on this journey through the lives and legacy of Saints Julius and Aaron. Their story of courage, faith, and unwavering hope reminds us that even in the darkest moments, light can prevail. May their example inspire you to carry your own flame of truth and love, no matter the challenges you face. Until we meet again, may peace and strength walk with you always.